Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of the Positive EV podcast. My name is Fracus the Third, and joining me today is a fellow business cat, Nermal, one of the staff of the server. How are you going today, Nermal?
Hello, I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well. And hello, everyone. And live guests, hello to you too.
oh man, this is so exciting. I'm so hyped to be able to have you on the podcast. I was honestly not expecting a yes when I reached out and asked you if you wanted to be on.
Well, I probably don't write a lot in public, but I read quite a bit more. So I'm like right on top of the meta of our Discord server, let's just say.
Yeah. Uh, so, if you were to give an introduction about yourself, what would you have to say?
Okay, so you want real life introduction or just related to CSGO investing or investing in general?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay, so I have bachelor's and master's in computer science and econometrics. I have master's in corporate finance that I haven't finished yet. I probably will drag a couple years longer because I don't have time to do it. I have experience both in management consulting and let's call it big finance. So.
Really? Wow.
Financing, yeah. So I have financing, not like the not vanilla transactions. Let's just say. So basically, everything that is non-standard,
So everything
and
that
just
would it be similar
yeah.
to what Outsourced was doing? One of our previous guests and the other staff members. Uh,
Okay,
Similar
yeah.
to that.
So maybe I will describe. So basically, some part of the experience is in corporate bonds, not the government ones, but private corporate, and placements. So something that doesn't even hit the public market,
Yep.
and everything like structured transactions, leveraged buyouts, etc. So that's what I did. That's what I started doing right out of the gate when I graduated,
Yep.
and I moved to management consulting for like mid-sized private firms, and that's kind of what I do now.
That's all right. That's a
And
pretty good job.
it allows me to work from home during pandemic, which is which is quite let's say something that I didn't expect would make a benefit for me, but it did, and I'm grateful for it that I have a chance to work
Oh, fantastic.
during this time. Yeah, so that's like my real life experience. My team experience in investing started in 2014, but we can. That's what
We
I
can move
told
on
you
to
a
that
bit
shortly.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a reminder, while Neville and I are having our discussion, everyone, please post questions into podcast chat that we can ask you can ask either myself or Nermal about what we do. Uh, feel free. I do have the podcast chat being recorded as well for the upload to YouTube. So please keep it PG. Uh, all right. So I want to ask you about your first your first like investments into CS:GO, because you mentioned to me before that CS is like your main sort of investing platform, video game wise, and a bit of TF2.
Yeah, but it kind of evolved over last couple of years. But my first investment in CS:GO, actually, if I had to go back, it started in 2013, and it was the end, like December, January 2013, 2014, and I went through my credit card statement, and I started to count how much money did I spend on Steam, especially opening cases, and I come up with like 1,100 euros. So that made me a little more like uncomfortable with how much money I spent that I didn't notice,
Yeah.
because, as you know, Steam is designed like that on purpose, as a lot of platforms are, not only Steam, to effortlessly take money from you. And that is like when I became aware of it. Second, that's what we talked about, was around kind of mid 2014, something like that. I decided to invest in esports blue cases. So I invested in those, bought them at 8 cents US dollars, and sold them at that price, average
What
price. So
what made you
yeah,
sell
so I
them?
was a supporter. What made me sell? Basically, I was impatient. I didn't do my research at the time. I didn't understand how case system worked. There were no resources, absolutely zero resources about cases back then. Only people kind of had idea that they were not dropping all of a sudden and going up in price. That was like the main level of understanding what was going on. And if you go back to 2013, 2014, that's a period when Valve was also trying to figure things out. They were experimenting with changing the key prices, drop ratios, the how do you call it, the breaks between each cases, and everything was coming up. So basically, and evolving really fast. So that was a lot of like ground to cover, and nobody did it.
Okay, so I guess that's similar to a lot of other different forms of collectible investing. Is people like never really knew how to do it, like, but they were in the early stages of a lot
Yeah.
of different investment classes. There weren't any guides. There was nothing super easy to read like there are today.
So okay. So it's not only like related to CS:GO, but if you look back at history of Magic the Gathering, people there are videos online from pro tournaments from the 90s from Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
where people just shuffle cards without card protectors.
Oh,
So
I
they just
know.
roll cards. Yeah, and that's just like pushing them against each other to like doing all sorts of shuffling tricks. And then you look at cards, and those are like cards that are thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth now. So
it
yeah, so it
hurts.
makes you like, yeah, it hurts actually. And there are a lot of videos on YouTube about it. So that's like, I think that's the same thing that was happening to CS:GO. That was basically people didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I just can't believe like similar in Magic the Gathering's history. I've seen some of those videos where
Yeah.
that shuffling happens, and you watch it and you go, "Oh my god, why? Why
Yes,
would you
yes,
do
that's like,
this?"
yeah,
But they
that's ten
didn't
thousand
know.
dollar card just being brutalized.
Yeah, but they didn't know, and like it's hard to know what's actually going to happen. Nobody knows the future.
Yes, and that's why you see a lot of crazy. Why you see a lot of crazy returns for the Kato stickers or the Kato capsule, Kato 14, because hardly anyone invested in those.
Yeah, seeing as you were around in 2014, did you invest or open any Cato 14?
No, I remember that back in the time I was playing only free for all, so I didn't. So I know that tournament was going on because, and this is a little bit of trivia. I was playing with Neil's dad and mom at the time at the server when this was going on. So I
Really?
asked them why they are here. Yeah, why they are here and they are not watching, and they said they had like second monitor or third monitor, I would say, because Neo's parents actually not only were playing CS:GO at the time. I don't know if they do now, but the first business that they had, the internet cafe, was mostly started because they wanted to uh, have Neo solid internet connection, and this was very hard to get back in the days in Poland.
Yeah, Australia was the same. We had dial up forever. Laying lines in Australia was
I
historically
think,
a massive problem.
yeah, I think still is the problem.
Yeah, that's why my internet's always so bad. I think I can't get ping less than 100 really for any games that I play.
Yeah,
That I play on EU servers. If I'm gonna have bad ping, I may as well have 250 ping.
yeah, but that's because of how do you call it, that newspaper magnate
Yeah.
that controls the. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, let's move to. Let's keep the CS:GO conversation going on.
Yeah. So, what was your first big investment decision in CS?
So there were two that I remember from that time period, and the first was making like over 5,000 euros net profit from flipping the 2015 Katowice pins.
The
So if you
pins.
remember those in-game pins, yes, they
Yeah.
were sold for $5 to $10. I don't remember exactly how much for the first time in Katowice, 2015, and people all over the world wanted it. And the company that does Valve merchandise that is officially licensed up until still is right now,
Yeah.
they didn't have any of those pins online to sell to even like
To make.
stock up
Yeah.
because yes. So what basically I did, I went to Polish version of eBay and I was buying everything
Yeah.
because you spend like 15-20 dollars, maybe sometimes more for things that were rare, and you can triple, quadruple it in a week.
Yeah, because I guess you'd be able to sell them online to people in the US, people in all
All
over
over the
Europe.
world.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I shipped it also all over the world, from America to Hong Kong to Europe. Basically, it was like a very solid
That
business and very easy.
that's something that I have yet to hear of people doing. That's an absolutely incredible little business model that
Well,
you
it
found.
was yeah, it was available at the time, but as the Cologne 2015 rolled, they were introduced back, and margins dropped so much that
It just wasn't worth it. Yeah.
yes, the time wasn't worth it. You could make money, but it was the same.
Yeah. Uh, so I've got a question here from Boosterton. We want to know the Karambit story. I'm sure there are multiple people
Karambit
that.
story is pretty like a boring one, I would say, but it's generally I was around Christmas time last year doing a deal, and I was offered a payment in Karambit, and I no honestly I me as a let's call it buyer, and the seller didn't know how to value it.
Yeah.
So we decided somewhere in the middle, and it was like how do you call it? Just just added to transactions. So I don't know like
So
the
it was like a
exact
throw
value,
in.
but
It was like was it part of the
well,
bundle deal?
not yes, it was essentially the bigger part of the bundle, along with some of the skins.
Yeah.
And sorry, it wasn't Christmas. It was June this year, June, July,
Okay.
something like that.
Yep. And so the karambit, for those that don't know what this karambit is, could you give a little explanation or explain what that is?
Okay, so I always make a mistake. It's a sapphire. I say blue jump. I don't know why. And it's like Star Trek minimal wear. So it's one of the one, and that's what's making it hard to value.
It's
Essentially.
the only StatTrak mineralware karambit sapphire in the entire world. Out of all the cases that have been made,
Yes,
it's the only one.
yes, and very hard to value for that reason.
Yeah,
But
I agree. Collector pieces that are one of one would be just incredibly hard.
yeah, but that's fun to sell it. So if anyone wants to like buy it from me and give me a good offer, you're welcome.
Well, see, but what would you, for example, value that at? So if you wanted to sell it, what
I have no idea. I will probably list it on the new buff for like $12,000 to $15,000, and I would say I will go from there.
I bet you could easily get that for a one of one.
Yes, but I got a decent enough price that I don't mind sitting on it.
Oh, nice.
It's like that type of deal. But karambit is a karambit. It's just one knife.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so second thing that coming back to the investments,
yeah.
I bought Huntsman cases that were like 5 to 6 cents, sold them at 25, 30 cents immediately after the Cologne, I think, if I get my timeline right. And that was also like really nice profit at the time, couple $100 net.
Nice.
And at the time when I had like when I stopped selling the pins, the CSGO pins from Katowice 2015, I also had a chance to buy like 20 AB Power Holos from Katowice 2014, the real coveted one. Yeah, but I was talked out of it by my friend who was trading at the time, like making this money trading. And regretfully, I would say, but it's something that you take as a learning experience.
Yeah, nothing's ever really going to be a winner. Like, not everything will be. There will be some times that you miss on an investment.
Well, yeah, and you can actually get a good advice. Like,
yeah,
some people can wish you well, give you good advice, but the advice might be wrong because they're not fully informed. So you need to take this into account too.
Yeah. So I remember you saying that esports 2013 was your initial bad investment. Have you had it? And I guess you've missed that iBuyPower Holo boat. You
gravy train.
Yeah, you missed that gravy train. What would you say has been a continual worst performer for you? Has it been when you've just been buying and selling and not being able to make up your mind, or has it been more a particular item since then that you've bought that hasn't gone up as much as you thought or went down?
Okay, so I have a little bit more easier life than I would say most of investors because I invested quite a bit early, and I invest like in a way to be able to have a peace of mind to hold it in a storage however long I need. So that's why when I see those spreadsheets that people use here that I have detailed, that take like current prices from the market, from the buff, etc., I see them as kind of pointless because they are something that is working against people, let's say, because all of a sudden you got this information that your like your value of your inventory went up 10% or it dropped 5% or 10%. And it's like irrelevant because you are investing based on fundamentals. Yes, fundamentals, and prices can fluctuate.
Yeah, I myself find that those price fluctuations really throw the newer people in the market because they're like, same for stocks. You see new people that have invested in stocks and they've gone, oh my god, it's gone down 5%, 10%. I have to sell because I don't want to lose any more money. Or it's gone up 10%. I'm selling because I've got money. And if you just hold it, it's on odds are
yes, it's much easier. Much easier, but there are a couple different things. First of all, people are not comfortable losing more than 10%. And second thing, if you like go to CSGO market forum on Reddit, you can see a lot of posts that something went down. Should I sell it, etc. And it's like I don't say daily, but at least weekly, you get one or two posts that are really like getting the attraction, and just people like don't have any perspective. Because if you want a really nice return, you just need to buy it and hold it. Because transaction costs also are very big on Steam and cash out sites too. 15%. So it's something that you need to take account to.
Yeah, I yeah, but I guess that's some stuff that comes with experience. You're a fella that has got plenty of experience in investing. I guess through your degree and through your real life investments.
Yes, but it's quite a bit different. But I would say that the best lessons I had
With the
were the public lessons, but
yeah,
not necessarily the experience on hand that you get from working or investing. It's super valuable, but even more valuable are common books, common investment books, but that are like the most well known, like Warren Buffett one or
and the
Warren Buffett
little
letters.
yeah the Bogle what the little book of common sense investing, essays of Warren Buffett, stuff like that.
Yes, basically you have like bunch of Benjamin Graham like books or book. Let's say there is one book that's most known, and you have lots of like book from value investors that are really about that really have most things that you need to know that are from the market perspective. But then you have also psychology, and psychology is like being able to comfortably hold regardless of what market is saying because fundamentals are still the same.
Yeah, I've something I want to comment on with the CS market is that since since the implementation of storage units, it seems to have been easier for people to invest because you can put your cases or your items away and not really like think about them because they're going to be out of sight, out of mind,
Um,
and that helps them prevent
and
that quite a bit. That's just one
yes,
little take.
and also don't undervalue this that it's basically 2 clicks for people to buy extra storage because it's much
Yeah,
easier than setting up new accounts and setting up those files, new mail, blah blah blah, etc. And it really makes a difference.
yeah, it really does make a difference. It's made it so much easier for people to invest larger sums of money. I mean, if you can have 100,000 cases on one account really comfortably, pretty comfortably, like that's a far less
Well,
work than the 100 accounts that you'd need.
yes, but back way back in the day, you could like had oh god, 150,000 cases on one account, and it would still like work properly in
How?
for CS:GO. For TF2, I don't know how much
Oh,
it was,
did CS:GO
but I,
always have the 1,000 limit, or
it varied because it had at the time I think the most was 2,400, but it was dropped to 1,000. But you can overstack it, and by overstack I mean that you can that you can have 999 items
yeah,
and send one big offer with thousands of items, and it would be accepted.
yeah,
So you could like juggle it
wow,
juggle it and just stack your inventory like that. That's a lot of like that I sometimes find with very old guides that you could juggle it, but it's out of date now. So basically nowadays it's Steam Market and CS:GO inventory is so well designed
yeah.
then it still works when you have got thousands, tens of thousands items. So if you are cheap, you can you can like don't use even those containers and just go for market listings.
Okay. Oh, all right. Um, now I am curious. You mentioned before that you invested in bonds previously. I want to switch topics a little bit to go to that that little history regarding
Mm-hmm.
bonds. I have had a bit of interest for a while now. I still need to get more capital regarding individual corporate bonds. So there's something that I've had an interest in myself. Would you care to so it if I try and explain what an individual corporate bond is, would you be able to correct me if I'm wrong anywhere?
Uh, Go ahead, please. But my experience is kind of like, let's say, limited to Polish market. Yes, because
Okay.
it's big enough to have this. But go ahead.
Okay. So my understanding of a bond is that you essentially become the bank for a company. So for an individual corporate entity, say, who's a good example who has some decent bonds? Victoria's Secret, for example, in the States, you say you purchase $10,000 worth of bonds, and they pay you an interest rate, which would be a 5 to 7%, depending on their credit rating, what risk you're willing to take on for that money, affects how much your interest payments are, etc. I wouldn't go with any particular company that's poorly rated. So they pay you a percentage, say 5 to 7% of your $10,000. For people that are trying to invest in them, you can purchase them on the secondary market. So you can buy a bond that's got 5 years left on it, for say $9,000, so 90 cents on the dollar. You buy the bond for 9,000. You get your interest of 7% on 10,000, and then at the end of the term of the bond, you get the full $10,000 back. Is that pretty much how that particular bond investment works, or is there something separate?
So, okay, so to touch a couple of things, you are mostly, if you are, let's say, casual investor, even if you have like tens of millions of dollars, you're still at the casual branch, let's say. You will be in a worse position than some big investor, because big investor can not only get the first dips on deals, it can also force the rate or coupon rate, so the payment from the obligation to go up, but that's a different story. You are right, but there is a lot of ifs, and ifs start basically when you are talking about a company, because company going bankrupt is much different than company being not able to serve its debt, because you can have debt that is basically rolled. So you can company that is technically close to insolvency, but people are still willing to buy the debt. So
Yeah.
you'll get paid on it. And there is also very like second distinction is basically whether what's the security of the bonds, whether there are secured, so you have some assets backing it, or there are completely unsecured, like a lot of bank bonds. And now the second part is, if they are secured, how what's your position in line in case of default? What are the conditions of default, etc., etc. It's like you have basic concepts right, but there are a lot of like things that are not quantifiable. So
Yeah.
basically, you would need to like understand what's going on in industry as a whole, because there are lots of like traps.
Yeah.
And if you want to make decent money from investing in bonds, you should definitely look at the bond market and look at less covered companies, because companies that, in example, American ones that have less than 1 billion revenue are much less likely to be covered by analytics.
Okay.
And their corporate bonds are often, they often have a very, very like relatively huge spread between bid and ask. And what that implies is that you have less liquidity on your bond if you wanted to sell it before it expires, but in exchange you get better return. So this is something that you could work with and get advantage over the big dogs in game.
Okay. So that's how you would work your advantage, is those. It
Yes,
takes a lot of
yes,
work, but you can. What can
Basically, you want to you want to be investing is like investing is like, how do you call it? Investing is like a sports game. It doesn't matter where you play. It only matters how much you score. So you can play like minor league and have like 50 goals and be like the top dog and make more money than the guy that plays like the biggest league or highest league and has 40 goals.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the year, it's about return, nothing less, nothing more.
Okay. What would be your favorite sort of asset classes at the moment? Being a business analyst, what would be your main part of your portfolio of a portfolio, I should say. So
If I had to own stock, it would be internet companies, Google, Facebook, maybe Amazon, but depends on valuation. But I don't do it because I find better rates of return in this, let's say, general collectibles.
yeah, I I myself have a mix between collectibles and ETFs. Uh,
Mhm.
as a business analyst, what do you, for the average person? What are your opinions on ETFs?
Okay, so what I'm doing now is more like for the private companies. It's not necessarily related to stock exchange, but I personally like ETFs for people that don't have time to do it properly. So then do investing properly, it's like requires knowledge and time. If you don't have it, you better stick with the ETFs because you will outperform the private investment vehicles, whatever you have in your country, if you
Yeah.
stick to ETF most of the time.
Okay. Cool. That's a nice little bit of confirmation that what I seem to be doing is correct. I've been
Yeah,
mostly buying S&P 500 um, ETFs, just something that's low cost, low, and is actually already providing a decent return. The dividend amount is not insignificant. Soon I'll be able to start really compounding it into multiple shares every quarter.
hopefully.
Hopefully, that'd be nice. Um, so
Yeah, but this is something that I want to add something. Um, it's one thing to invest in the best thing that you can get your hands on. Is second thing to be comfortable with the risk. Because at the end of the day, if you are not comfortable with the risk, either stock market, bond market, collectibles market, whatever, it's not worth it, in my opinion.
yeah,
Because quality of your life will suffer significantly if you are worried every time, every day about your money.
I very much agree with that sentiment. That's something that I've come to learn throughout my journey of investing, learning how to invest, and then discussing investments with various people. Is some people don't know what their risk tolerance is because they haven't lost a lot of money. It sometimes takes people losing a lot of money to be able to figure out actually I'm not comfortable with a certain amount of risk. Whereas
Yes,
now I know pretty accurately what my risk tolerance is, where how much I'm happy to invest every month and have set aside just for that, and let that slowly grow. I don't have to all in every every fortnight because if something went to zero, oh boy, I'd be very upset.
hmm yeah, but that's the thing that I think I said earlier that 10% or more in loss is more than enough for casual investors to start panicking. And
Yeah,
that's behavioral economics and happens pretty much often. That's why when you have like dips in stock market, they are now very volatile. So basically, you have people like throwing gasoline into the fire when it's like going south fast.
yeah.
But that's like
I've
okay, that's like this.
I lived so most people so you would have lived through this as well. Something that I was just starting to get interested in money in that 2008 financial crisis. in that
Mm-hmm.
in that massive big bubble. I'm not sure. So I'm 25. I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm sure you have. If you've done 2 masters, you're pretty well, definitely at least my age.
Yeah, a couple of years older, but I've been in school at university, but when it was going down.
Yeah.
And what was like my take from it is I asked someone who had at the time I think 25 years of investing experience about it and about dot-com bubble, and he said that when the newspapers or let's say brokerages start talking about new economy, etc., that's when you know you have to pull out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened back in the days in 2007, 2008, and dot-com bubble. And who knows how it will play it now.
Previous crashes that have happened throughout history. Something that I've learned is if you're invested in individual stocks, sure, uh, take heed and be careful that you're going to lose it all. But with with something like an ETF, it's also a way to make a lot of money. Is when you buy on those massive crashes. The world says that everything's on fire, but if you've bought a good company, if you've bought ETFs, if you've bought anything on these massive, big, sudden crashes, where the newspaper says that everything's going to zero, you will have made lots and lots of money.
The good exercise, especially for people now, is to find a public forum. Maybe not Wall Street bets, but any public forum. Yeah, that's not the. That's a quite a lot of different ballgame. But find a public forum where they talk about stock and go back to March, April 2020 and see what people write then. That's a quite like learning experience, and it's for free.
What did I honestly was ignoring most of the online forums during that time. Were you watching them at all?
Well, I was reading a lot of it. I was reading like mostly like traditional investors, ignoring like the speculators, etc. And people were just basically on a sideline, waiting or cheering for bigger drops. Let's say, and you can like I don't want to say mark the bottom, but you can spot it when people start writing less. That's like when you know that the hope is lost, or people just need to take a break, and that's a good moment to buy.
Yeah, I something psychology wise, I find that there are definitely different shifts that you can tell psychologically that become a good time to buy. So in these periods where everyone's selling, you can buy on the way down. But then when people start to say, "I'm putting money into this because what have I got to lose at this point?" That's a good idea. Psychologically, that's a good idea that you're hitting a bottom. When people just say, "I'm going to put money in."
Yes, that's also the thing, because at the end of the day, it's about valuation, and valuation is based on current and future like situation. So okay, so basically, if I had to buy a stock, it would be like things that I know that are misunderstood, but those things are like say smaller companies.
Yeah. Okay, so now I think we can pivot back to CS for a minute. I think so. We're at about 40 minutes in now, so I am going to say let's have a look at our little case of the week. So why don't you have a quick chat with us about what you decided for this week's case?
Yeah, it was. I decided it will be the Blue Sport case because it was my first investment and first loss realized investment. So something like memorable for me at least.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what you've decided to choose. So I've just got to just opening up the. For some reason, I have to use
Good
Face
luck.
anti-cheat. Yeah, I have to use the Face anti-cheat to make sure that my recording software works on Streamlabs, which is what I use to record. Once it's, oh my god, it's updating. Oh man, who could have seen that coming? No boosted. I'm not going to shout positive EV. Opening cases. This is something that shouldn't have to be said. This is an investing podcast. Opening cases is not going to be positive return ever. It is never ever a good idea to open them. This is something just for fun, so that you don't have to do it yourself. You can listen to me, and watch me every week, lose a little bit of money. It's all right. We just hope one day we'll open something really, really good. We'll open
And break even.
Yeah, break even. If that, or I'll get like a Navaja rust coat or something.
If you get good fraud on Rust-Coat, that's like decent money.
Yeah, you can all listen to me lose my mind over opening a Safari mesh. All right, there we go. Games open on my recording software. So you'll be able to see I've got it in my inventory. I have the Esports 2013 winter case with the Esports key. Let's see. So things we want to open out of this case. Nermal, what would be your favorite skin out of this case?
Blue Gem Karambit.
Can you get Blue Gem Karambits in this winter case?
No,
you can't. No, you can't. Case hardens. Yes, you can get an actual.
You can get it, but I never got one.
Oh, let's.
Yeah, that's a good case to get blue gems.
Let's.
The original knives.
Yeah, let's see what we can get. Come on, stat track, case hardened, factory new #1 blue gem. Let's go. Oh, so many blues. Oh. So many blues. So we've opened ourselves a factory new auto sniper, the Zebra.
Oh, okay.
A little bit sad. That's okay. Well, 80% chance to open a blue. That's a-okay. Let me go back to. Oh yep, that's showing up now. There we go. So. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't stream my video into the podcast channels right now. That's something that Discord is going to be implementing later to hopefully be able to view that. For now, you just sort of have to look at my inventory to see what I've opened. At least it's factory new. I mean, that's something, right?
Yes. Hopefully, at least you get your key back.
Well, so the case itself is $7 Australian. The key's $3.25. So, I think let's see, how much are they selling for? A whole $1.50. It's half a key.
Oh well.
Oh well, that's all right. That's okay. Yeah, if you want to see a positive EV unboxing, you have to watch YouTube for when they open all their knives. And knife highlights. I believe there's a couple of creators that'll only show knife highlights in their videos. Now, the CS market. If we want to talk about, let's have a talk about the current state of the Counter-Strike market. What are your thoughts on it right now?
So if you go back a little bit, you notice that in 2020 we didn't have huge crash.
Yep.
And that happened because two things. Because people were locked in homes, and people kind of, I would say, believe in CSGO a little bit. Because you didn't have also crash on the highest tier items. So that's interesting thing to me. Second thing is that we are now during summer. Summer is always slump, and we will recover as the winter comes. basically, and that's the cyclicality, the yearly cyclicality of the, I think that's the word, of CS:GO market, and it has been going on many times now.
Yeah, I think more and more, I think more and more people are catching on to this cyclical nature. But again, it's those long-term investors that'll buying now, waiting 6 months, and then selling in that winter period. They're the ones that'll actually make the most money, or even people that have bought at the end of summer and have just held on to the next summer instead of selling in the middle of.
Well, yes, that's true.
Sorry, my
But I
my
also,
seasons are
yeah.
reversed. I meant the opposite
Oh,
because
right.
I'm because I'm in Australia. I am reverse for
All right. Yes, yes. I have kind of like so in my mind the image that you get every year here in Europe during Christmas, during winter time. We have like usually images from Australia beaches with a guy wearing speedos and a Santa hat,
yeah,
like
but
going
that's
to the ocean.
you guys don't do that.
No, it's quite chilly, but yeah. But if you like into this, you can go ahead and do it.
Oh, mate, it's good fun. Get out there on a jet ski or on a surfboard or something. Go and just go out in some pudgy smugglers, little Santa gear,
Yeah.
have a beer. It's good fun.
Hopefully, it will be back soon.
Hopefully, Australia thankfully doesn't have too much in the way of the coronavirus, but it does on the east coast. On the west coast where I am, it's nice and chill. Everyone gets to do whatever they want, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah. So, what if you had to give any advice esque information for people that are in it now who have gone, the market's been going down, what do I do? What would be.
Okay, so okay. Sorry for like
That's okay.
getting into
No.
interrupting you. First thing that adding back to what you said, despite the market being down, when I find the right opportunity, I rebalance my portfolio. So basically, I don't have idea how much exactly I have, but I know what I have and general quantity. So when I have something that I found that I think has a lot of like potential, I sometimes force some of my investments, some of my worst investments, to fund it, to fund the purchase of the new one.
Okay.
And it's something that I find out really helps my returns, and something that you need to be cold-blooded about, because you could like buy something a month ago and some change happened, and all of a sudden it's like completely different story, different fundamental, and you need to like have pretty heartless approach about it, even if you need to take loss on it. Like I took a loss on the broken funk cases that I was selling last month just to like buy other things.
Okay.
And that's the first part. And I forgot your question.
Well, so it's just
So what I
for
would
people.
buy, right?
Yeah.
What I would buy, I think that unless you really want to diversify, and you shouldn't diversify if you have like below $10,000 in Steam, in like CS:GO or TF2 items, you should go for CS:GO cases, and you should basically Danger Zone and Prisma 2. But I would go for more for the Danger Zone, because if people remember it, it's Danger Zone is basically Chroma 2 case that happened a couple years later, and will go the same route, I think, because Chroma 2 case. Chroma 2 case is a shitty case, let's put it like that. It doesn't have anything going on for it. It shares the the unique drop pool with two other cases, but that was the case that was at the peak of the first peak of the CS:GO around 2014-15. It was like the big deal at the time. and a lot of people remember it, and that's why it grew so much in value despite all the fundamentals against it. And I think the same thing is going to happen to Danger Zone, because this is like the first case that a lot of people that came when the free CS:GO started in December 2018, and it started with the Danger Zone update and Danger Zone case. That's what people really remember. And if you go back in time, there are like people that invested unknowingly, mostly Chinese people, and bought those Danger Zone cases. So I think that there is a very like good sentiment about it, and it has decent drops on the covered, and unique is also decent. So I'm pretty much on Danger Zone right now.
I'm pretty much I like Danger Zone as well, purely because it's been similar fundamentals as to what you're talking about. How people will have nostalgia for that case, as it's the first case they were really around for. It was that first with the new banner, the new game mode. It was something that when people came to CS, it was like, oh, this is new, this is cool. Then they're going to remember it in a couple years' time and go, oh, I remember that case. That was that was cool. Let's open up a couple of those again. And
yes, and the price point entry is also important. And something that maybe I should like talk about it. If you live in a Western country, you are generally handicapped, because there are people that live in second, third world countries that have currencies that go into much smaller quantities than 1 cent, $1 or Australian or €1 cent, and you need to find a way to, in my opinion at least, to buy items from Steam Market with those exotic currencies. And if you buy with those exotic currencies and only use Steam Market, don't buy any games on it with it, you will be good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm one of those people that bought CS20 quite a while ago now. I bought it at about 10 cents Australian, and it's currently sitting at 20 cents Australian.
Yeah, but that's maybe like modern day example. The example that is like really old is Breakout Case, because Breakout Case you could in exotic currencies buy for about 3-4 cases for 1 cent, $1 cent.
Yeah,
And it made investments ridiculously like more profitable, because instead of spending 3 cents on one case, you can spend 3 cents on 12 cases. So 12x your investment return.
I remember talking with one of our previous guests, Rage, when there was a time when you could buy 150 cases for a key.
For one key. Yes, I was selling it. Back in the day. Really? I think I have even one archived post from CSGO trading subreddit, but I deleted it because people kept adding me like, what the fuck, like it's 3-4 years later, you think the offer is still the same, come on.
So you're saying I can't trade you my tradable Hydra case key for 100 cases?
Unfortunately not, but I appreciate those people hustling, because at least it takes a little bit of effort. So I wasn't like making fun of them. I was just having a joke with them, and all of them like were happy with it. So at the end of the day, it's like I don't mock people working hard. I think you should work both hard and smart. But that's just something that I want to add. And I had like the opportunity, because I had this exotic currency account, and that helped me. You can still legally set it up, despite what most people say, but if you are not comfortable with it, don't do it.
Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of investing. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. Because if you're not comfortable with it, you're more likely to screw something up, because you've either taken an overabundance of caution, or your caution's been put in the wrong place, and you've ignored something else, which is what actually screws you over.
Exactly, and living like in some kind of anxiety is not worth it.
Yeah.
And speaking about maybe questions also regarding to controller collections going down, it went down, but I really don't care. I have like bought a lot of it. Still bought a lot of it early on, so I still can make a nice profit right now if I sell it at the current bottom.
Yep.
But my point is that it will go up because it has very nice skins, like the op fade. It looks beautiful. Like you don't need to be worried about it. Just take your time.
I still think the Orc Fade should have been a pink, not a red. But
Yeah, but you know they need to have something on cover that is the selling point.
they do. And once
They
it was released, everyone was talking about it.
Yes, but people stopped talking about it because it went down. Because you had like this 1 or 2 month period when everything went up all of a sudden from the highest tier items.
Yeah. Do you going into the close here? Do you think that CS is going to go back to those million concurrent players when the operation and the everything else hits again? Are we going to cycle
I
back
don't
up?
know. I don't know. I think it will be like seasonal, and I don't think we will have hard lockdowns around the world. Maybe in Australia, but in other countries, I doubt it because you are unable to stop the spread anyway. And I think the CS:GO will bounce like usual because people need to understand that the very significant part of CS:GO player base is in Europe. And right now in Europe, you have summer, and people in Europe travel a lot. They are not like Americans that stay in one place all of the time. At least from my perspective, they basically travel, and when they travel, they just forget about other things. And when they go back during, let's say, Scandinavian winter, there is nothing to do in Scandinavia. That's why they have so many great CS:GO players and so many people play CS:GO down there.
Yeah, the culture seems very different towards gaming and like professional gaming than to what American or other parts of the world just in general have towards it.
Yes, but my point is that if it's summer in Europe, people will
People are
play less
away.
CS:GO.
if
Yeah,
it's summer,
just
people want to
just
go
don't care
party.
about it.
Yeah, I
Yes, just don't care about it, because that's something also. Maybe this is more Stoic philosophy, but Stoic philosophy is great for investing. You cannot influence anything about people taking breaks, so just accept it and act or make some decisions based on that, and have a peace of mind about it.
yeah. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
Exactly.
Well, Nermal, I've got to say, thank you so much for coming and having a discussion with me regarding
Hmm.
investing. It's been super exciting and super interesting to have you on. Being able to talk about CS:GO, bonds, stocks, like a few different classes of assets. I think the one big take, I still for myself, the one big takeaway is that time has been the winner. You've been investing in CS since 2014. Some people listening have only invested for less than a year, uh, and it's going
Hmm.
to take time to build up that portfolio, and you'll eventually reach sizes if you're consistent with your investing of yourself, of other members in this community that have made lots of money with this game. Is that it's going to take time.
Basically, pick the decent horse and stick with it.
Yeah. Well,
And if it's going to, okay, so I understand that you will be putting this episode also on YouTube, right?
hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to just add something and come back a couple years from now uh, to see
Timestamp.
if I was right. Yeah.
Timestamp
So
now.
basically, yeah. So that's like two, three things. First of all, CS:GO was designed to mimic the Magic the Gathering economy, and it will go the Magic the Gathering route. man, if you look at the state of the market of the Magic the Gathering, it has significantly evolved. It has much more liquidity than CS:GO, and those older items are treated with more like prestige even than the most expensive CS:GO items right now. But it
Yeah.
will go the Magic the Gathering route, especially if they keep the player base. And if you notice, Valve games are designed to be played for the prolonged periods of time. TF2 doesn't have any update, didn't have like in last 4 or 5 years, and it has now record-breaking player numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. Still, second thing is, I think the first case out of those truly the cheap cases that were on the rock bottom to hit $10, it will be breakout case. It will be in 2.5 years, I believe, and it will be huge, like market changing thing, because people will really open eyes to the returns.
Yep.
And the third thing is best the best thing that is. I would say moderate to low to moderate risk and a really high reward is TF2 cases.
TF2 cases.
Yes,
All right.
but not
We've
all
got that
cases.
reminder.
You need to understand it. Yes, and let's keep it like that.
We got a reminder. 2 years timestamp. Let's go. Two years.
Oh,
and
2 to
counting.
5 years.
2.5 years. We'll have to come back to the channel in 2.5 years, see where we've grown to in 2.5 years, and we'll have to get you back on, and we'll see. We'll have to compare what we said today versus what we say then. We'll
Yes, of course. And as I said to you, like when you first approached me 2 weeks ago, I plan on starting my YouTube channel, but it will be more about CS:GO and TF2. So
yeah.
if I wasn't like, let's say, if I was like delaying everything, I would already have a video. But hopefully, you will guys enjoy my content too once it pops up.
Hey, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for coming to have a listen. Thank you to Nermal for coming and being a guest and coming and just having a chat with me. It's been absolutely awesome fun. I always have a lot of good time I always have a good time coming and chatting with everyone. Now, if you want to follow along, this is going to be uploaded onto YouTube, where you can also see all of the past Positive EV episodes. Don't forget to give us a like on the video, a follow, a comment, anything for that YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe. New podcast schedule will be coming up. I'm prepping a schedule as we speak. I've got some more rosters for my IRL job, and then I'll be able to post a few times and not just have the one like I have today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to upload this to YouTube shortly, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.